Okay, doctors, I want to get started. First of all, I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Zach, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Now, the only trouble is I cannot hear you. Okay. All right. Let's go with if there's another doctor on the line right now that would say, Brian Moore, can you hear Zach? Go ahead and speak once.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Brian.
Yeah, I can hear you both.
Zach.
I hear you both great.
And Zach, are you getting a response from Brian that he can hear you?
Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you both.
You getting a response that he can hear you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it's on my end. So I am going to be deaf tonight, but I don't need to be. I'll show you how good we are. I don't actually need to be able to hear yet because my co-host is going to be able to hear for me. So doctors, what I wanted to do tonight was I wanted to bring on an expert in digital marketing. We've been very successful with Zack. Zack looks like he's about 16 years old. I remember that's the first thing I thought of when I first saw him. Zack started off in a chiropractic office. His dad was a chiropractor, so he's been marketing for chiropractors for a very long time. And he's very adept in the digital space. So one of the things that I wanted to do right now, it's very important, and we just switched offices. So in my background, it's a very plain, bare background. We just switched the office. We've had by far our best year ever. And one of the things that we've been doing is Facebook marketing. Now, Facebook marketing that we do is probably the hardest Facebook marketing there is to do, because our target market that we use through Zack's company is very small. Your target market, which are patients, is extremely large. There's like 300 million people to target, right? Ours, if we're looking at chiropractors, is a very small market. And Zack has been extremely successful with the marketing to doctors. So one of the things I also know is that it's very important to market right now. When I say we had the best year we've ever had, we've marketed the most we ever had. We've spent the most we've ever spent. And the marketing has really paid off. I've always looked at marketing as it's an investment. It's an investment that you learn the market through marketing. So, one of the things I wanted to do again is I said to Zack, gosh, you've been such a good job for us. Let's talk about marketing with other providers. And I apologize, while Zack is presenting, I will try to get our sound back on here, but I don't have any sound here, so I can't hear exactly what's happening. But Zack, what I wanted you to do is kind of tell your story of how you got, tell your story of, the fact that you grew up in a chiropractic office and how you started marketing for your dad and how that bridged over into a very successful digital marketing service today. And then when you're done, just give me a thumbs up. I'll know you're done. And then you can go ahead right into the presentation that you wanted to give tonight.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Cronk. And welcome. I appreciate you all jumping on here on this Thursday evening. Super excited. So Dr. Cronk, we've been working together for a number of months. He's also referred us a number of clients in SmartInjuryDoctors and just from his network. And we've been really successful in helping him and some other offices. And basically it all kind of started 5 years ago for me. My dad's been practicing now for about 25 years down here in South Florida. And I had marketing kind of fell on my lap when he was going ahead and building a new practice down here in South Florida and needed some help. And so we kind of dove in. I grew up getting adjusted, understand it pretty well. Didn't take any medications until many years. And so we kind of dove in, started marketing for him, did everything wrong you could possibly imagine. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with what that looks like. The leads that don't speak English when your office only speaks English, or maybe the leads that don't pick up the phone or don't show up to appointments and all those different things. And so we've kind of cracked the code at this point. And we've helped Dr. Cronk with SmartInjuryDoctors, and a lot of other offices apply it. So I went ahead and prepared something. I can go ahead and dive right in. I think it's going to be super valuable for you guys. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I just got, sorry, Zach, sorry to cut you in. I just got my ears on. So
Cool.
I got my sound back. So perfect. So doctor, sorry, I temporarily I had some difficulties here, but the show goes on around here. When we do webinars, nothing stops us. And so go ahead, Zach. I'm sure it was, good what you started out with, and doctors, now let him show you what the magic of Think Bullish is. Excellent.
Thank you, Dr. Cronk.
Hey, Zach, one more thing before you start. I know I'm cutting you off and I apologize. Did you have, and maybe you said something, but doctors, the one thing that I want you to know is not only is there marketing to patients with this company, and he may hit on this, he may not. The reason why we got started with them is to help doctors get attorney appointments or medical doctor appointments for presentations that I teach in what he shows there in the Smart Injury Doctors program. He may go over that tonight, he may not, but I think it's important to let you know that he also has additional things that he does.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. So this is going to largely cover marketing with Patient Direct. We don't always recommend that for personal injury. I'll just give like if you have a couple locations, couple offices, usually ballpark 3 to 5 is kind of a starting point. It sometimes makes sense to dive into PI, Patient Direct type of advertising. We can definitely talk about it, but we do also have another program. I won't be diving into that too much, but if you are interested in something with building relationships, I know if you're not familiar with Dr. Cronk's work, highly recommend speaking with him and his team. And also we could help with a kind of done for you service to get in front of a lot of those groups. But I'll go ahead and dive in. So why expansion in this economy is your only possible solution and exactly how to do it. So the times have changed. And you guys can all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So times have changed. Winter is surely coming. As many of you know, insurance payouts for general chiropractic continue to dwindle. I know my dad has told me and showed me some of those checks for 76 cents for regular adjustments. And we have a pretty dramatic recession onsetting. Rental prices are skyrocketing, especially down here in South Florida. Gas prices are going through the roof, electric, interest rates, and there is more political uncertainty than we've ever seen before in this country. There's political agendas, fortune, power superseding any consideration in some cases for universal well-being. And it kind of leaves us in an interesting place. And I'll just kind of give you guys a relationship because I know a lot of you guys chiropractic, where the vaccine, now we're finding out, was never even tested, though it was forced upon the entire country and the world. And now we're seeing issues as a result from it. And so we're seeing right now largely a shrinking, dying middle class with a growing divide between the upper and the lower classes as we enter this time. And so how I see it and how I really command a lot of you guys is we're being called to step up. And so you guys might recognize this diagram here, but hard times create strong men and women. Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. And so we're coming out of a place where we've had good times. And I think that's what we're seeing with our younger generation. But I think right now we're entering a tougher time, and it really commands that we step up. And so this is a quote from Henry Ford, stopping advertising to save money. And this isn't just advertising relevant, but marketing in general, kind of like Dr. Cronk was talking about. To save money is like stopping your watch to save time. And so often marketing, as we enter these times, is one of the first things to get cut. We look at our expenses, we look at our staffing, we look at the different things, and this is often one of the first things. But when everyone else is zigging and doing one thing, there's often an opportunity to do something else. And so here's kind of a diagram. There's many, many more. This is a quick one that I was able to pull from Google, but you guys probably recognize most of these companies. There are so many companies that have formulated, that have grown, that have skyrocketed out of a recession because it's such a huge time, such a huge opportunity. Apple is another one, and so many others. And so if you stay to the end, just a side note, I have a huge bonus for you coming from Dr. Cronk's community. He's been amazing to work with, really good to us. And I got a really good bonus for those of you that do stay till the end. And so now, why should you listen to me? There I am in the middle in my dad's office. However, I like to think I have pretty cool hair. We've spent over $5.5 million on advertising, been featured in some pretty cool places: Grant Cardone, Market Watch, Disrupt, Thrive Global, have grown over 137 plus clinics, including my pops down here. We've helped a number of locations, one being Novus Health. They grew from 2 to 6 in 12 months and then to 8 in, I believe, about 18 months. Fairwood Health and Body Transition added $1 million with a 24x return on investment in just 16 months. And numerous other clinics, adding 6, adding 7 figures, and really just scaling pretty quickly. And so what I'm going to be covering is why most practices struggle to go ahead and advertise, and exactly what to avoid when doing so. And so in a time like this, wait a second. Let me know if do you still see my screen?
Yeah, you're still good. Yep.
Okay, cool. So, why most practices struggle. So with this, I'm really talking about ads that never work. You guys might be familiar with this. If any of you have ever advertised, and you just never really got many people signing up, didn't get many leads. Ads that worked, maybe they worked for a couple months. And maybe the whole process didn't work, but at least you were getting leads for a few months, where people were signing up or filling out a form or calling the office. But after a few months, they've died and just stopped performing. I hear all the time working with various different offices, and they say they've jumped from marketing company to marketing company for this reason, because every company, it works for a couple of months and then it dies. Maybe you've gotten tons of leads. So you had people signing up, calling the office, a lot of leads, but often they weren't picking up the phone. So a lot of people signing up, maybe had a couple calls here and there. Tons of new patient appointments, but none of them ever decided to show up in the office. Tons of shows, but they were all just tire kickers, didn't really have the money or intent for long-term care. And so if we analyze this and diagnose what is really causing these issues, they become very simple to fix. So, most offices, most agencies, what they go ahead and do is much like the opposite of chiropractic, where they don't go ahead and go to the root of the problem. Instead, they're kind of just addressing the symptoms. But when we really dig into it, we go ahead and see a couple interesting things. So ads that aren't even driving leads. And so I'm talking about form submissions and phone calls. So very simply, if we think about it, if that's happening, you're probably just not grabbing attention, because you haven't placed anything in front of them that's exciting enough, engaging enough for someone to go ahead and fill out a form, give their name, email, phone number, or call the office. And so this could be due to just offer. Offer is really big and is uncompetitive. So, one of the first things we look at, Dr. Cronk can attest to this. If you guys speak to his team, they have a very, very solid offer in the personal injury space. And so often practices just suffer because they never put something out that is really strong and isn't competitive. Targeting isn't right. And so a lot of this, it comes down to actually looking at the numbers, the science behind it, and really analyzing things, and not just throwing anything up and hoping it sticks, but targeting. So often I don't see many offices marketing niche specific, condition specific. That could be personal injury. That could be, focus on sciatica cases, neuropathy, whatever it is. Location could be a big thing. Ad quality could just be poor. So sometimes, we do see just the ads just really aren't good. And so I want to talk about stages of market sophistication. Just curious, by show of hands, or if you want to drop in the chat, how many of you have ever heard of market sophistication? Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertising. Anyone here?
Just put it in the chat box, Docs, if you have.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll keep going. But this is probably the most fundamental, kind of like the marketing Bible, if you will, one of the greats. And he talked about these 5 different stages. And, I'll kind of show you where we're at. And I think it's going to make a little bit more sense as to why maybe your ads aren't performing the way you like, or why they haven't in the past. And so usually the first stage is you're the pioneer, right? You're the first. Be simple, be direct. Above all, don't be fancy. So no one just really understands what you're doing. So it could be a blessing. It could also be a curse because people just don't understand it. So you need to either name the need that you're solving or the claim of what you're solving in the headline, but you don't have to get too complicated. Chiropractic's not really here. We're a little bit beyond this point. Level 2 is where you start outdoing competition. So now there's a lot of competition. This is where the offer guarantees and boldness just get stronger and stronger. You drive it to the absolute limit and largely outbid your competition. For some of you, this kind of sounds like maybe the market you're in, where the space is a little bit more competitive. It's not overly crazy, but it's kind of starting to, it's that competition between other offices. Level 3 would be really showing customers how it works, patients in your case. If your market is at the stage where they've heard all the claims in all their extremes, then mere repetition or exaggeration won't work any longer. So it's no longer about what it is, right? But it's about how it works. This might sound familiar to some of you guys too. If you've tried marketing companies before, there's a lot of different agencies that will offer you free trials to run ads. But if you've wasted your money a couple times, it's no longer even worth a free trial. You don't even want to get it for free because it's about how it works, not just running Facebook ads. Embellishment, so the arms race. So competition is caught up. They're bigger, they're bolder, they're more sophisticated. So now it's about making it easier, quicker, surer, and really just solving more problems, overcoming old limitations, promising extra beliefs. So this is kind of like outdoing the competition, but now at another level. And then the 5th is when that marketplace has kind of been assaulted for years with claims that they no longer believe. This is the most challenging level, and it's where most marketers make their money count. And so the emphasis switches from promises to identification with your market themselves. So you really have to kind of show them that you're like them, and it's more selling a feeling than anything. And so if you look at this, each market we've seen across the country is a little bit different, but largely, they're falling into either level 2 or level 3. Potentially, if you're in a more rural market or doing some new technology, new things, could be pioneer. I know with a lot of the stuff that Dr. Cronk teaches in many markets, you are towards that pioneer stage with PI. But it's important to recognize this because that then identifies what you need to be doing and how you need to be repositioning what you're doing in the first place. And so the other thing is ads that work for a few months and die, right? Have any of you guys ever experienced that? Maybe you worked with an agency for a month, 2 months, 3 months, worked great the first month, second month, maybe it dwindled down, third month, you wondered if they were even working and what they were doing. And so where this really comes down, what this really comes down to is typically, more often than not, the ads just aren't being changed frequently enough. It could also be the funnels where they're driving the traffic to, but in a local market, they might see your ads 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a month. In the chiropractic space, the same way, like Dr. Cronk was saying, there's only so many chiropractors. In a local market, if depending on how narrow you're going, these ads have to be changed frequently, or it's just not going to have the same response. It's kind of like one of the things I always say is like when you're driving. If you guys remember when you first maybe got your permit or your license. First time, I don't know if you guys remember like me, but I was shaking. My dad was worried I was going to hit a mailbox, but I was paying attention to everything. Now you go ahead and you drive and you open your eyes and you're home, and it's like you didn't even do anything. And so that kind of becomes scrolling in the newsfeed where you won't even notice it anymore. Ad funnel quality is poor, or your offer is no longer relevant. So what was working 2 years ago likely isn't working the same anymore. And so tons of leads is the other thing, but none of them pick up the phone. If you've experienced this before, and maybe we're concerned because the lead quality was poor or what was going on. Often it is a result of funnel quality, which is contributing to lead quality. So what I really recommend, I don't know if these terms ring a bell, but Facebook and TikTok lead forms, where the information is auto-filled, are something I highly recommend staying away from, because the lead quality typically will be a little bit poorer. They have autofill solutions, so like the information just autofills. It's awesome because you get a lot of signups, but you're not getting a quality lead that's typing in their information and really wants to be contacted. Your offer and ads aren't unique. So it is important to have stuff that stands out and looks different. Often when someone clicks on an ad, they might start seeing a ton of other ones that are similar, especially on Facebook and Instagram and all these platforms. And so one of the other things they might not be picking up the phone is because they may have signed up, but they were curious, but they weren't that curious. And so the other thing is leads just might not be being warmed up through the process. So content is huge. Content is huge. And the process is huge of engaging and creating that content to warm up that lead. So we kind of see it as a process as well. As I'm going through this, if there's any questions too, I'm happy to go ahead and answer them. The other thing is tons of new patient appointments, but no shows. So oftentimes, I think this is probably one of the biggest challenges I see offices face if they've kind of overcome those other hurdles. And, it comes down to the same thing. Like I always ask myself at each stage when I speak to offices, it's like, why would a patient book an appointment but not actually show up? And it's a good exercise to kind of analyze. And oftentimes what we see is it's too easy to schedule. You just have a calendar, they just fill out their name, email, and phone number, and then you just expect them to show up. Maybe you send them some appointment reminders and that's it. But if you've done this before, you'll see it's often not the case. Not creating enough pain, rapport, and curiosity is another thing. So what we've kind of seen to be one of the most powerful things is pain is a big motivator, certainly. But throughout the process, you have to be engaging and give these patients a reason to actually show up. So I think the $21, the $27 chiropractic exam special, and you get a free adjustment with it. It's good if you want tons of patients that want a free adjustment, but you're not attracting those patients that really have a need or going to commit to long-term care or anything like that. And so you want to instead focus on finding those patients that have that pain. Maybe that is also in the process after just, marketing, but when you're speaking with them over the phone and building that rapport, which could also just be understanding the problem and the curiosity. So how are you different from everyone else, everything else they've tried? And then some of you guys might be familiar with this. If you've really had trouble, I highly, highly recommend credit card authorizations and prepayments. I think this is a massive wave in the chiropractic space, and it will continue to be. It seems to be for a lot of other businesses as well. But this is one of the ways to really ensure that you're going to have a high show rate. Big thing, big key, because I know I see a lot of offices challenged with this or scared to try it or anything like that. Deliver it with certainty and confidence is the big thing. On the first try, one of the things we do that we've, from much testing and upset patients, and we've been through the battles, is you can go ahead and deliver it, and not everyone's going to want to give you their credit card information. And so sometimes you'll let them through and still book their appointment if they say no on the first time. But if they go to reschedule at any point, ask for it thereafter, and you guys will have a lot of success. And it will be very understanding then to the patient as well. Other things, so tons of shows, but they're all tire kickers with no money nor intent for long-term care. I'm curious how many of you guys also have experienced anything like this. I know this is Glenn, I see you dropped a yep in there. What area was that to? What challenge? But tire kickers, I know. Okay, all of it. Excellent. So I hope this is helpful for you. So tire kickers are definitely another big thing. And I see a lot of offices go ahead and try and get the patient is one of the commonly said things in the chiropractic space. Just get more patients in, get more patients in. But if you're only accepting certain insurance, or you have a cash program or whatever it is, I really encourage, if you want to maximize your time, which I think is one of the biggest things in most offices as you grow, you got to start looking at, how many of the right patients you can start seeing each day, not just how many patients. And so, it allows you to really scale up, maximize your time, and also have probably the lifestyle you want, where you're not spending an hour or however long for a consult and exam with a patient that's never even going to be able to take care with you and start. So this is one of the big things. So we screen for financials. So if they're not qualified, it sounds harsh, but we don't schedule them. There's ways to do it, but it's really important to have that understanding as you're scaling up, especially if you've had this challenge. But you could do this in many different ways. You could do this on the ads by simply saying on the bottom of the ad what insurance you accept, what insurance you don't accept, or if you don't accept any at all. You can do this in the funnel process. You can do this over the phone. In our agency, with a lot of our clients, we do it in just about all of these places too, depending on the needs and how qualified we really want them. But just a quick litmus test, would you click and become a new patient from your campaign compared to your competitors? Would you click on the ad? Would you go through the funnel and opt in? Would you book the appointment? And then would you actually show up? Right? Because a lot of times, I challenge you to ask that. And so I'll share some case studies and I'll be opening it up for some questions. But here's what happens when you do this right. So we have one of our clients here, Blue Mountain Wellness, $46,000 a month to $100,000 a month in just 8 months. I won't go through the whole case study. You can definitely check it out on our website. But, largely for him, it was getting more of those qualified right patients into his doors that really did it for him, and finding his specific niche that he wanted to focus on in that advertising. Fairwood Health and Body Transition. This was the client that I mentioned previously. They went ahead and really scaled pretty significantly. They went in and they were spending no more than $3,000 a month. And they ended up doing over $1 million in collections from just our marketing in 16 months. They had, over that course of that time, they had 2,700 leads, 1,400 appointments. It was pretty insane period of time. Medical Center Plus, another one, 5 months, $104,000, focused on physical medicine, chiropractic, and they also had a little bit of a focus on the back end with other modalities. And so let's talk about what makes our campaigns win for our clients. I put this link down here if you want to book a call. I'll be sharing kind of what that looks like, but I have a link where you'll be getting a special as part of coming from Dr. Cronk here. If you want to jump ahead, definitely go apply.thinkbullish.com/SID SmartInjuryDoctors. So before we get started, we do thorough competitive research and guide you on the best strategy to stand out and drive the best results. So this is super important. If you don't know what's going on in your space, what your competitors are doing, especially if you really want to succeed. So, you can kind of do things, partial, or you could go all in. I learned at a young age, I hope you don't mind me using some foul language, but why go half-ass when you could do it full? And so, I really encourage, you want to have a pulse on exactly what's going on. And so, go ahead and you want to have some competitor research, know exactly what these guys are doing, what they're offering, and then you could start to really find your niche where you're differentiated, and it's just going to serve you. Competition is a blessing where we're able to learn from each other and grow together, largely if you use it right. We have a ton of experience and set the foundation for your campaign with the strategies that we know are already working in other markets. So a lot of times we start with winning ads. We've worked with a lot of different offices. We track everything. So this is one of the big things too. If you don't know how many leads you got, what your lead cost is, how many appointments you got, what your appointment cost is, shown appointments, shown appointment cost, and new patient actually acquisition cost, it's very hard to run a campaign effectively. The most successful offices we work with, they all know their numbers like the back of their hand. And so we track everything. We give you a really nice spreadsheet where you can see it in real time, updated each day. And it's kind of like a scoreboard that we work off of. We run condition-specific campaigns with separate ads and separate funnels. So no lead forms or anything like that, but it's all very specific. We frequently test the ads and the funnels. So my team's in these accounts often every day. Every 1 to 2 days, we're in there changing things, testing things, sending you new stuff to review and approve and all sorts of stuff. All the content's done for you. So certainly whatever you have, we'll edit, but we'll actually create even videos for you. I have voiceover actors, script writers, and graphic designers that will create everything, copywriting for you. We build actual digital omnipresence. So we work on many different platforms. We usually recommend Facebook and Instagram to start, but as you kind of grow, we offer a ton of other solutions where you can have digital omnipresence on all these other platforms as well. We focus not just on your ads, but your results. So I don't care how many impressions you got. I don't care how many clicks you got. I don't care even how many leads you got, right? We want to look at, how we're actually growing the practice. And so, we work in many different facets beyond just the advertising, where we kind of try to provide a full practice solution largely where, the advertising at the start, but you're driving patients. So let's get reviews from those patients as they're coming in. It's going to serve you in a branding format. We have follow-up scripts, follow-up strategies, automation. I have scheduling agents. If you want to hire us to follow up with your leads for you, we'll help you with patient reactivations, social media marketing, and more. And so a lot of times you get a ton of patients even just by remarketing to the patients you have and the old leads you have as well, that will help you out with. We report weekly and we send immediate notifications for all new leads, calls, and appointments. We call, qualify, schedule, and collect payments from your leads for you. This is like an optional additional service, but we'll do it all for you. We'll even have them prepay if it seems necessary. And then ongoing results coaching and dedicated support. So with the blessing that I came from my dad's office, we have a lot of insight into kind of just how things work. So we host group coaching calls and different things that we'll be able to help you there with as well. And then it's exclusive to one office per geographical area. And we guarantee results. So here's just some cool testimonials. I won't run through really all of these, but you can see we've done this before. We know what we're doing. And so if I hope this is valuable, I'm definitely open to answering any questions you guys have, any way that I can specifically help you with your campaign, with your office. And I know certainly if you are looking to advertise, I don't think there's any better time than right now. And so I really encourage, going ahead and booking a call. Here's a link once again. And so basically what we'll be doing we'll be helping you build a free marketing plan. You'll be speaking with me directly, where we'll basically go ahead and build a full end-to-end marketing plan and branding plan. We'll review anything that you've previously done, any challenges that you've had, customized marketing strategy, and we can give you a specific proposal based on your goals. We'll see if your territory is available. And we do have guaranteed results, pretty aggressive guarantees, as long as you qualify there. And in addition, for coming from Smart Injury Doctors, as part of Dr. Cronk's family here, I'm going to be giving off $500 off to until the end of the year. So you don't have to start your ads in that time frame, but if you book and sign up, there'll be an additional $500 off as well.
So Zach, let's talk a little bit about that. What I want to do is let you and I talk for just a second. Doctors, one of the things that I want to explain, because I know we had a great marketing presentation here, but one of the beautiful things I found with working with Zack and his team is, one, it is a team. Two, it's like going to a doctor. If I go to a chiropractor, I don't want the chiropractor to give me options and say, well, what do you think? Right? I want the doctor to be a doctor and I want them to know. So even though Zack looks a little bit like Doogie Howser, he looks young. Like for me, I was like, okay, these guys are young right out of the gate. But one of the things I like is that he took control. He knows his market. He knows you. He knows you as a chiropractor, and he took control and said, okay, this is what we need to do. Now we had input and the team is fantastic. And when he says, I'm going to give $500 off, it makes it sound like it's expensive. It wasn't expensive. Right. So what they did, though, that was really impressive is we said, OK, great. We're going after a different market than you're used to. They were like, no problem. No problem. This is what we're going to do. This is how we do it. We sat down. They developed a plan. I looked at it and said, great, let's go with it. From pretty much day one, the plan was successful. Now, did we need to tweak it? Yeah, we had to tweak it because what he's talking about is the ads don't always pull. And did we need to tweak it? The thing that I want to say about that is how responsive their team was. I mean, if we wanted to have a call, currently we meet every 2 weeks and or once a month. It doesn't matter what it is, but when we meet, the responsiveness of the call, when they say, look, you should know your numbers, they know their numbers and they show us what numbers we need to know. So it was like having a diagnosis and then, okay, here's your treatment plan. And it was really nice. And, here's your corrective care program. And so, I highly recommend, if you're looking to or if you've been in this space, that you book a call with these guys. If you want to get in this space and you want to know more about it, book a call with these guys. Okay. Because and Zach, when we're done, you can put that link in the chat. If you put that link in the chat, everybody will have it. And so the other thing I want to say is this, and I know I was guilty of this until I was probably in my early 50s. I was really conscious of expenses. Oh my God, expenses. And I never had anybody teach me anything about business. My dad was a banker, but he wasn't a business person. He worked for a bank. So when I finally had someone say, what in the hell are you looking at expenses for? Because this is the biggest problem. If you look at a profit and loss sheet, if you look at a company sheet, you're going to see all the lines for expenses, a super large, big, and you're going to see one little tiny line up in the top that says income. That's the line you focus on. You don't focus on the expenses. Now, that doesn't mean you go hog wild, but you got to focus on your income line. Marketing is about your income line. It's about getting your income up. My goal for doctors is always to have your income be so high that you don't give a damn about your expenses. You really don't care, right? What starts to happen when that happens is you look and say, gosh, I don't care if I go out and spend $300 for dinner. It doesn't matter. I want to enjoy the dinner. In the old days for me, hey kids, don't drink pop. It's not good for you. And it adds $2.50 to each one of your bills. I got 4 of you out here. That's, all this ridiculous stuff that you do thinking you're saving money when all you're doing is basically not focusing on the top line, the most important line, which is your income line. That's why I like injury work. That's why I like marketing. So I highly recommend that you book a call with these guys. So Zach, did you throw that in the chat?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, great. So he's got that right there. Why don't you just pull that link up so they can see what it looks like. Just pull it up. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. Now, one of the things I want you to notice is how clean and crisp. Now, he probably just threw this up today, right? How clean and crisp this looks. This is what he's directing patients into. This is what's called a funnel. They're building that for you. Very inexpensive to have them do it. They're building it, and it's really fast and it's really good looking. I mean, when I started working with them, Zack can attest to this. One of the things I said is, okay, God, I don't like working with you already because you make my stuff look like it sucks. Right? Because it's so clean and crisp and, new. So, like I said, doctors, one of the things I would highly recommend is just book a call with these guys. You want to know more about this form of marketing, book a call. The last thing I'm going to say, there's a thing called barrier to entrance. And I love barrier to entrance because I'm willing to do what most aren't willing to do. And that means that I use barrier to entrance. When Zack started off, hey, most people cut their marketing right away. Oh my God, times are going down. Cut marketing. Biggest mistake you can make. Right? But what I love about that is the majority do it. So it takes them out of the game. They're no longer in the game. I'm not competing with it anymore because they're no longer in the market. Yep. They took themselves out of the market. The biggest thing you can do is don't take yourself out of the market. You want to lean into it harder. I mean, when I started off the webinar tonight and said, look, we've had the most fantastic year. Like we leaned into marketing harder, not lighter, harder. So, Zach, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I really wanted to make sure that the doctors understood. You don't need to know all this. You know, when he says, look, there's 5 different levels. Are you a pioneer? Are you ready to tell number 5? You're ready to tell your story. These guys know that. So you don't have to. Now it's really nice because they'll be, you know, very nice and they'll show you where you are in your diagnostic plan. But the nice thing is they already have the successes of taking practices where they're multiplying the offices or where they're taking a, you know, a company and doing over $1 million worth of services. So when he says, look, they've already spent 5.5 million in ads, they're every day, whether they have 90 customers and you're an additional customer, the other 90 customers are helping to educate them to get your account more effective as well. So the group provides mass marketing data for them. Anyway, Zach.
Yeah.
So tell me, I cut you off. Why don't you go ahead and however you were going to conclude, and then I'd like to open it up to some question and answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's spot on. I know that has been a big lesson for me as well. Spend more, even in our business, spend more in advertising. And when you start opening up those floodgates, like it opens up the opportunity. And so it's an investment. It's not even an expense. I think something like marketing, it's an investment because you should be seeing a return on investment. You should be growing your practice with it.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd really encourage, book a call with me. I'm happy to go through, you know, your specific practice, your specific scenario. And we can kind of find out exactly what that's going to look like for you. And then to Dr. Cronk's point, one of the huge benefits that we do have is with my dad's office and just all of our clients being in this space, where we largely just work with chiropractic and integrated medical offices. We have a ton of data. We're largely data nerds behind here with the spreadsheets and all, but with all the data too, seeing what ads work, what funnels work, what offers work, what elements in your practice work. And we're able to kind of provide that and share that with all of you. So
great. Fantastic. Let's start to take some questions.
Yeah.
Doctors, you had technical difficulties all night, but you should, as far as I can tell, be able to unmute yourself. One of you would just try, Gary Stevens or any of you just try to unmute yourself.
I'm good.
Okay, good. So you all have the ability to unmute yourselves. If you have a question, just unmute yourself and ask away. Whether, you know, if you have a question, you've had past marketing, whatever, past marketing issues.
A question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Zack, this is Glenn. How you doing, buddy? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I've used 2 different marketing companies in the past 3 years, maybe even 4, and all of the well, I'm in area code 38017 zip code, and they were doing the Facebook marketing, and maybe 5% or less were actually coming to me from my own zip code. No one could ever answer my questions as to why. So I want to market. Of course, I scheduled a talk with you because I'm very interested in what you have here. But I'm looking at booming the PI practice, booming the stem cell practice, regenerative medicine, and chiropractic. So I'm all ears when you call me.
Okay. Yeah. So we could definitely set up a call. You're saying the area, you were marketing to one area, but you were getting patients from another, a different
Pretty
offer?
much. pretty much. I live in I'm outside of Memphis, Tennessee, in Collierville, and the town I'm in is 50,000 people.
Mhm.
There's like 15 or 20 chiropractors within probably a 10-mile radius of me. And Memphis is, well, it's going downhill, but the area I'm in is affluent.
Give me just
The
one
area,
second.
the area next to me,
Yeah.
Germantown, is a very affluent area.
Okay.
I don't get many
Okay, no problem.
patients from that area.
I'm sorry, Dr.
Yeah.
Cronk was telling me he just got out. He had a power outage, so he should be right back.
Okay.
You're saying so you were getting, do you mind taking a step back and repeating that?
I mean, basically, I used to, when I was doing the marketing, it started with Facebook, and I was getting people from my zip code and the zip code right next to me, which were both very affluent areas, which people have money, they have jobs, and they have insurance.
Mhm.
Okay. And then all of a sudden, in the last 5 years, it's changed. And so any marketing I do, I'm not getting that many people from my zip code.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So it can be targeted. So there's a couple things there. So you're saying you want to attract affluent people, but you're attracting them not from the zip code you want, which is yours, but other ones where they're no longer as affluent, right?
Well, the people I'm getting are lower quality.
Yep.
I mean,
In terms of financials, right?
yeah, they're low quality.
Yeah.
But to stay alive, you got to accept them.
Sure. Yeah. Unless you fix that, unless you start getting those high quality. So what that comes down to typically is the radius, the marketing, the zip codes, all that stuff can be adjusted. There's ways to kind of beat the algorithm, if you will, and do some things and that's one of the things I was referring to, where put in the ads, what insurance you don't accept. And then all of a sudden you're just going to have signups from people that see that. It's not going to be perfect, but all of a sudden now you're getting more people that we're finding now more people on Facebook and Instagram that have the money. And then you want to just be screening that out beforehand too. So a lot of times there's stuff you could put in the funnels to qualify for financials. If you're doing regenerative medicine, I know it's all cash. I don't know if that's the exact patient you're looking for, is just all cash. So
well, regenerative medicine. The ones that come in for regenerative medicine, I can convert into chiropractic patients also.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so there's different things. You want to add in some financial qualification throughout that process, I'm sure. And the targeting.
The nice thing too with that, Glenn, is like when I sit, so I have a marketing person for us. So I just sit on the meetings, and I'm the one that asks, you look at the numbers, and these guys know their numbers. So we know the numbers. Okay, how many leads were there? Good. So how many hit the landing page? Good. How many gave our information and booked a call? Good. How many actually got on the call? Good. From there, what did we do with that person? And we track that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, but what's really nice about it is that they're concerned about it. Do you know what I mean? That's what they know, that if they want us to continue spending, they have to be successful.
Right.
Right. So, but it's also like, for everyone on the call, it's like anything else. When I look at marketing, I look at marketing as investing, and I look at it as getting to know the market. So, I've never had bad marketing. I've had marketing that didn't produce as well as I thought it should, but anything that got me in front of somebody was somewhat successful. As long as because it's a long-term game. I just look at like when I look at doctors of chiropractic, my colleagues, and I look at Chiro Econ, and I go, wow, these guys are spending about 3%, 4% of their budget on marketing. There's no business in the world that spends 3 or 4% on marketing, except for chiropractic offices. And I'm not opposed to the ones that say, look, I've been here long enough that I don't need to market. I think that's great. That's a great practice to develop. But everyone markets.
Well, all I'm looking for is help.
Yeah. Glenn, I'd give him a call. Just book a call with him.
I've already booked it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect.
If you can call sooner, that would be great.
Oh, when?
Yeah,
You call sooner, you said?
I'm sorry.
You said call sooner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do. Yeah. We
All
had
right. No, that's
yeah.
perfect. Who else? Anybody else have a question? Glenn, did that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. I like that.
Okay.
I mean, and you say you guarantee it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk.
Okay.
We guarantee results. So we guarantee, depending like on how your office is set up, we can guarantee revenue. We have some pretty bold offers. We're pretty confident in what we do. And I mean, everything we do is month to month. Like we don't hold you to a contract. It's all based on results and keeping your business each month. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I like your attitude and what you're saying. And so I just sent my phone number so you can call even before our booking if you can.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take a look at what you scheduled and then I could send you a message and see if we could work something out.
Okay. That sounds good.
Docs, anybody else got?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Glenn. Docs, any other questions? And just ask. I mean, all you got to do is unmute.
Hello,
Yeah, go ahead. Hey, William.
how you guys doing?
Hey, good.
Excellent.
Good. Thanks for hosting this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Very, very compelling, very bold. How quickly, you said month to month, so how quickly do you think we can see results? Because, you know, as Dr. Cronk's mentioned many times, and we know from marketing, sometimes it takes 5 to 9 contacts before you see results.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share with you our experience on that, William, because I had the same thing. So when I look at digital, I look at it, and this is what I said to Zack. I said, Zack, we have a 2 or 3 month. Like I know it'll take a little bit of time, and it can take a little bit of time. We saw results with it the first month. Now, when we modified, we saw better results in the second. So as we got a feel for them and we got a feel for the message, it got better and better. But we saw results right away the first month. I mean, I wouldn't bring somebody on if we weren't seeing results with what they were doing. That's why I liked them. And I liked the fact that right out of the gate, again, if you guys heard me, the stuff that they put up for us made my stuff look terrible. So that part I didn't like. Other than that, I like everything else I liked. Because their landing pages and their things that they put up for us were just stellar.
So I had a couple other questions. How do you
Go ahead,
compete?
William.
I sent them in. How do you compete with law firms for PI patients? And where do you place the ads?
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you, and he's going to tell you. There's no successful company, Zack, correct me if I'm wrong, that has successfully cracked how to get the personal injury patient with Facebook ads.
Yeah, it won't be with Facebook ads. It's going to be Facebook ads will be brand with PI. You could get PI through Google ads. It's expensive. And so that's why usually I say, and there's very limited clicks because you don't want to be competing with the keywords where everyone's searching, like where you'll still be competing with attorneys, but you don't want to be competing on the main attorney keywords. So you can compete on other keywords. If you have a couple locations and there's like a big enough radius, you can go after the smaller keywords and get something. It's still expensive. I mean, you're going to be spending sometimes, could be $1,000, could be a little less if it gets really dialed in, could be a little bit more. But per patient, for PI and Google ads, but,
you're competing with the attorneys at that point, William.
Yeah, you're definitely competing with attorneys, to a degree, but, it's, you got to just go super niche is really what it comes down to be successful there. And then a lot of it has to be set up because it's competitive markets with click tracking and anti-fraud software and and cool stuff.
The other thing, William, is if you look in our product, outside products and services guide that you have as a smart injury doctor in our program, you'll see Zack's companies in there specifically for attorney setups. So they'll set up attorney calls for you to do presentations. And that's why we originally started to use them in the Smart Injury Doctors program. This tonight is more about their other branch of their company is also does the Facebook ads, which we also use. And that's kind of what he's talking about. But you might want to set up a call and hear what they have to say about the attorney aspect of the attorney setups that they do for doctors as well.
Okay. And doctor.
Yeah, and doctors and medical doctors. Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, I'll definitely schedule a call. Thanks again.
Yep. Okay, who else? Stephen, John, Peter, Anthony, Jim, Sharon. I'm in.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got one. So I use somebody now, but it seems like I have to drive my own marketing campaigns. Do you stick to the plan and call us and keep us on schedule, or do we keep you on schedule?
Question. Drive your own marketing plans. You were leading the whole
I'm leading the pack, man. He does it all, but I got to come up with it. It seems like it
like
works.
the ads and stuff, or the strategy?
No, we kind of do I've got a little bit more of a high-end office. I dropped insurance 5 years ago. I'm a seasoned PI doctor, so I get a lot of referrals. We probably get, 18 to 24 PIs a month on our own. We probably get, 15, 16 quality cash patients, but I don't take everybody. My price is generally, $3,000 to $5,000 on treatments, So we're kind of selective. We want that higher end patient coming in, we'll send a occasional adjustment down the road. So that's kind of where I like to be,
Beautiful.
But I do like the quality marketing, the reputation marketing is what we kind of do now, so, but the guy I've got seems a little busy. And if I get busy, nothing happens.
Gotcha. Yeah. We have a whole team. I'm not the only one run these ads, or otherwise it'd be a mess.
Yeah.
But we have a whole team. So my team works off a big scoreboard. You could access it each day, and we send it to you each week. But it basically says every day we look, are we green, yellow, or red? And that's how my team operates. And we hold ourselves accountable.
So, Gary, on our experience with that too is we can log in at any point to the dashboard. We can see exactly what's going on. We can see what ads are being run. We can see what the results are, and we're getting emails. If there's any change, we have to review the actual ad before they actually place it. So I would say their team's in touch with us 1 or 2 times a week.
So, which leads to another couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let's say you're doing some video stuff, and I'm up in Ocala, you're down in South Florida, which is probably about 4 hours. Do you arrange that, or do we arrange that type of stuff? We're doing any videos, pictures. Do you guys have connections, or how's it go?
Yeah. So done for you video and photos and stuff. We could help you with like getting photographers, videographers, if that's something you need or want. We keep it where my team's really good at like animations and design and stuff and voiceovers.
Got it.
We will usually use what you have. We'll tell you if like, hey, we need to update these, but usually it doesn't require a ton of frequent photo shoots or anything like that. Like you get 1, 2 good ones, you're set. You really don't even need that, but if you like, it's worth getting. And then my team will just constantly be coming up with new stuff based on what you have, and then we'll create totally different stuff.
Okay.
So we try, like our goal is to keep it pretty hands off, where I know you're running a practice. I'm sure there's 18,000 things going on. And honestly, if I have you shooting videos frequently and I give you a script, we don't know every time if it's going to work. So a lot of times we have videos and stuff where we've tested in other markets, we've seen they work, and then we're able to kind of tailor it and plug something like that in.
Okay. So last question is, I know I've had that experience of trying to crack that code online with PI. We're trying to acquire a few like everybody else is, but do you have a general campaign that presents you as professional that way? As far as like going in and saying, hey, this is a PI doctor. He's specialized in connective tissue disorder, laxity, what Cronk teaches. Do you have that type of format that you can put on us as far as that goes? You have the experience with that.
Yep. Yeah. So we've worked with now like 60 offices, 50 offices. We work with a number of offices for the PI stuff. And so, yeah, we'll basically introduce you. We'll help you set up those meetings. We'll introduce you professionally and yeah. And then you'll be able to speak with them. And then we could do it in
Sounds good.
formats, yeah.
All right. I'll book a call.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
absolutely.
Okay, who else has got any, if you got questions, great. We'll stay as long as you want to. If you don't have questions, totally fine. Zach, Jim, Peter, Anthony, Derek, William, Stephen, John, Amin, Paul, and not to forget Sharon. Seems like Karen. Okay, I was going to say a pretty male dominated night tonight. Any other questions on this particular topic? I definitely highly recommend is book a call and find out more about it. Even if you're saying, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do it right now, maybe I'll do it the first quarter next year, whatever, book with these guys, book a call with these guys and talk to them. I highly recommend you doing that. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Zach, you got any parting words? And I tell you what, I really appreciate you doing it. I mean, I also appreciate, look, guys, my payback for this is if he works well for you and I got him clients, he's working harder for me as well. Right. Right. So that's our payback here is that I want him working hard on our accounts as well. So, Zach, got any parting words?
Yeah, I appreciate you opening up the stage for me, Dr. Cronk.
Yeah.
And I appreciate y'all for coming. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thinkbullish.com is our website. I see we got Karen here too. One of our new clients who will attest. She hasn't launched her ads yet, but could definitely attest to a good experience she's had. But feel free to reach out, shoot me a message, book a call. And we'll be happy to see what we could do and help you where we can.
Perfect. As always, doctors, we really appreciate your attention is valuable. Your time is valuable. So hopefully you got something from tonight. And I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the call tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good Thursday. If we don't talk, we don't see each other, we don't communicate, have a very good holidays.
All right.
Take
Merry
care.
Christmas.
Yep.